people wait for the economy to change before they start winning. But what if the biggest barrier to your growth isn't the market? It's how you're thinking about it. Welcome to the Champion Mindset Collective podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Dahya. Often we feel like our financial future is out of our hands, especially when things feel shaky out there. Today, we're looking at why some people thrive while others wait for permission, and how shifting your perspective on responsibility can change everything. Mikey Smith is a founder and CEO of Guardian Smith, a leading New Zealand firm that helps navigate mortgages, insurance, and KiwiSaver. Mikey says he fell into the financial world by accident, but his success since then has been anything but. Through hard work and commitment to learning, he built a company grounded in helping Kiwis make better decisions for their future. His motivations have shifted over the years, from wanting cool cars and early retirement to finding a genuine love for work itself. Today, he is focused on building a legacy that his team and family can benefit from. Mikey is dedicated student of personal responsibility and has developed an iron mindset when it comes to business and wealth. He's here to help us think about money differently and what it really takes to win in an economy. Mikey, welcome to the Champion Mindset Collective.
Thanks for having me, mate. Excited to be here.
Yeah, I like the fact that you have, an iron mindset.
Yeah,
That's pretty,
Iron Fortress.
Iron Fortress, yeah.
Yeah, Iron Fortress of the mind, mate. It's really
Awesome.
important, I reckon.
Yeah, absolutely. Goes well with the champion mindset, right?
100%. I guess it's the same thing. To be a champ, you gotta be pretty tough mentally and just keep pushing. So
yeah. So what's an iron mindset to you then?
It's kind of a joke, but like it started on Luke's podcast on Keep the Change. But yeah, I think naturally I've got something where it's like I just don't really care what others think too much. And the first time I said that, I got a bit of pushback and stuff, and that doesn't mean I don't care about other people. But like, if you're on a journey and you're doing something and you're focused and you're looking forwards and you're trying to achieve something or you're trying to build something and you know morally that you're doing it the right way and being a good person and stuff like that, if there's like tall poppy syndrome or, comments in social media or whatever, I know that it really affects some people, and like the iron mind thing is like a joke because it doesn't affect me. I just don't care. And fortunately, probably have it like a little bit naturally, but at the same time, I think it is something that you can train yourself into. Like there's all these like cliche terms around like don't sweat the small stuff or don't read that comment or whatever it is. Like, but the reality is you actually have to become good at that.
Yeah.
And just be able to block it out.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And my belief is that we're all individuals and on our own individual journey in this life, although we coexist together as part of a consciousness. So it's like you don't need to worry about what the other person's doing. You just need to look at your own journey rather than looking at the gaps. Look at the gains that you're making every day.
Yeah, I think without getting like too woo-woo, I reckon human nature is in the way that we are wired and designed to work and create something and build something and get better at something. And when you make a mistake, you find a solution and like all of that. And when everyone does that for themselves, it all works out around us with everyone else anyway, because, like everyone sort of gets directionally correct. I mean, there's obviously bad people in the world that do bad things, but on majority, no, like most of us are like out here trying to get stuck in and do something,
Yeah, I'm a big believer that if you're doing something that's purposeful and meaningful to yourself, but it also helps others, then you can't lose.
Yeah, it's effectively what creates a market. Is like if you go out there and provide value to someone, that means that you've provided something that someone else wanted, which means you can get paid for it and you can be profitable and make money.
100%. Yeah. Now, Mikey, take us back to your childhood. How did you get here? Tell us about your journey.
I don't think I've ever been asked this. That's interesting.
I ask everyone. That's the first question I ask everyone.
Yeah, I've probably done 600 podcasts and never been asked this question. Interesting. My childhood was epic, man. I guess we were like solid middle class family. Dad's a mechanic. Mum used to help out in the business and went to like good public schools. Never went to like a private school or anything, but like went to good public schools. And I don't know, I just had a great childhood, eh? I was riding around, you probably can't even do the stuff that I did these days back then. I was riding around on motorbikes when I was 5 or 6 years old. Dad taught me how to fish when I was 18 months old. I lived a mint childhood, and I was looking back now, there's heaps of stuff that I learned via osmosis because Dad just took me everywhere. Even when I was a baby, Mum had a retail shop and she would take me in and I'd just be in the shop. And then as I got a bit older, Dad would take me to, if he went fishing, he'd take me fishing. And if he went to work, I'd go to work or whatever. And then, I was okay at school. I was a maths kid, so I like numbers and stuff like that. And
hence you're in the finance.
Well, I didn't know. I didn't plan to end up in the finance game. That happened by chance, but I did like the maths and stuff. I didn't like the English and writing essays and things like that. I remember not liking English because I could write out an essay or something about what I read in this book, and they would say it was wrong or get a C or whatever. I can't remember how they graded it, but then you'd look at someone who got an A and I'd read it and I'll be like, this is objective though. Like, how can you say that one's right and one's wrong, or one's better and one's not? And then I was in maths, I was like, no, there's only an answer. And I like that. So I always liked that. And I did okay, but basically I was a naughty little shit. So yeah, there was all sorts. Like, by the time I got to the end of my schooling at Glendale College, like, I wasn't going much. I was going to the golf club. We were off the subway. Like, we had our driver's license. I was riding around on mini bikes. And so, yeah, I wasn't a good student. I wasn't like a bad student, like a bad student. I was just like cheeky and naughty, you know? And then there was like a period after school where I thought I was, you know, going to have a crack at golf. I'd started playing golf in my final year of school, I think, and I got pretty good pretty quick and played on the Auckland team for a little bit around the country and thought I'd keep going. And then as I sort of got a little bit older and thought that that's when you start to do it, I started partying, and I actually started partying late to a lot of my friends, but I gave it a good nudge, you know, through my late teens and early 20s, and then ended up working for my family's rental car company. My old man was a mechanic and he stopped doing that for a couple of years and wanted something else to do. So we went and bought this little like boutique rental car company. And that was like the best thing that ever happened to me, to be honest. I didn't like that business, but chucking the golf in or playing less and going full time in there just out of purely needing money. So many good lessons. You know, I was working on cars nonstop and learning about that side, like the mechanical side of it. I was working in the office. When they started in that business, it was like pen and paper. As in, like, when we're checking a car out to a tourist that's come to pick up their car, it was pen and paper. And by the end, it was a diary. We used to take the bookings in a diary and write down the people they'd call from like Austria and stuff. And by the end, it was website, booking system, electronic contracts, all of the stuff. And you just learn so much. I was customer facing the whole time. And it's an interesting business, like the dynamics of how people, if they damage a car and they didn't take out the insurance or whatever the story is, trying to get money out of people. And there was just so many lessons in there, so many business lessons, so many customer facing lessons and all of that kind of stuff. And even the previous business that Dad was in, he was a mechanic. I learned so much about like customer service and stuff in there. And he was there was a 3 or 4 person workshop, but he had loan cars. It was signaged up. It was presented really well. You'd walk in and all the floors were clean. And it was almost like a European car franchise type thing. So he taught me like the importance of getting the detail right. And I just got all these lessons. And then he's decided to retire one day and sell that business. And, you know, I thought about it a little bit and I was like, no, I don't like this business, so I'm not going to carry on. And I carried on through the sale, didn't like the new owner and bounced. And then I was fun employed for a bit.
Mm.
So I had a bit of money and stuff. So I went on a fishing trip overseas and I came back and I'd done it like okay enough. I'd built up a little bit of a property portfolio. I had a couple of rental properties and I thought, this is good. This property manager takes 7% of my rent. and I don't know if they earn it, but that sounds like I'm overpaying. So that to me was like, I can do that business. So I thought I was going to go and, you know, buy a rent roll or something like that, or become a property manager and then grow a rent business, a property management business. And I came back from overseas on a fishing trip with some mates and just went round to his house one night to drop off some fishing gear that I'd ended up with on a Monday. And their mortgage broker was there. And I ended up talking to her and we just kept talking and talking and talking. And that was it. The rest is history, man. And that's how I got in the finance game. So it was pure luck. Never had a plan. Never thought that my maths would convert into finance or anything like that. But the reality is like, I don't think it matters. I mean, I like what I do now, but the biggest part I like about what I do now is the business.
Yeah.
I like the sport of business. Like that's the part that gets me up and going. I always have to like stop myself in terms of I get really bad shiny object syndrome. So whenever I've got like a lump of money or something, I look around and I'm like, what business can I buy? Like, what can I do next? Yeah, that's the thing that I need to control. But yeah, I just love business. I just think it's the only sport in the world that you can play until you die.
Yeah,
like every other sport, you know, your body buggers out or your talent runs out or whatever. Like as long as your brain's working, you can be in business.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, what would you say was as a highlight of your childhood that you still sort of one thing that you look back to?
I had like an epic childhood. Like we had mum and dad took us on overseas trips, and I was riding around the bloody neighborhood illegally on mini bikes all the time. I told my parents that I wanted to work and earn money, and they said, well, on your 10th birthday, you can get a paper run. So I turned 10 and they gave me the contact details, and I went off and got a paper run. And within 6 months, I was doing it on a motorbike, and mum would help me out. And because I was a lazy little shit, so I wanted the money, but I didn't really want to work. So she would like pack the box for me, and I upgraded from like the mini quad bike to the scooter that had more power so I could do it faster, and I'd have like a little box in front of me on the scooter. I've got heaps of good memories, man. I don't have one of those like sob stories or, like heaps of people say that, well, there's obviously evidence when people come from like a gritty background, it like fuels them to do it. Like I don't have that. The only thing I do have, which might be a part of that, is my dad was an orphan. Like he didn't have parents. So he went up through an orphanage, and then he had foster parents, and some of them he didn't like and some of them were good or whatever. And like he was out of school at 14. So I don't know, maybe he just was good at training me that sort of like gritty, you got to do it yourself mentality or whatever. I was probably still a bit precious when I was younger, but I'd consider myself pretty grunty now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I had a pretty gritty childhood.
Yeah, nice.
Very gritty. In fact, I didn't have a proper childhood like most kids. After parents separated, I got sent to India to an ashram, a boarding school that was literally crossed between army and prison, barbed wire fences,
Shit.
for 6 years. So I can say that I was in prison for 6 years from the age of 7.
Whoa.
You can imagine all the abandonment, the rejection, all that sort of stuff that played out.
Those are the kind of stories, though, like why I reckon people should just be grateful. Like, even though I do agree with fighting and trying to keep our country or whatever, New Zealand, for example, on the right path, and maybe some things are trending the right way. But on the flip side, man, it can get way worse. Just be grateful for what we've got and enjoy it and just do what you can.
I think when you've gone through a lot of adversity in life, you're so grateful for what you have, and
sure,
you don't really need a lot.
Nah, that's the
in your
thing.
life. Yeah. So when you've grown up with hardly anything, then you can make do. Now, you mentioned that earlier on you were driven by cars and the idea of retiring early.
Yeah.
But that changed. What does winning look like for you now?
Yeah, I used to want to be materially rich, which do you know what? I still have, I reckon there's value in having material goals.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on like where you are in life, of course, but I still have pictures in my mind of certain cars that I'd like to own in my garage and a bigger shed and the house and stuff like that. It is stuff that drives me a little bit still, not as much as it used to, but it used to be everything that drove me. And
you're still young.
Well, I'm starting to feel old. I guess there's like a narrative against being materialistic and stuff that's grown over the last sort of decade, and I don't necessarily agree with it. I think like if it doesn't matter what it is, like if you like something and it gives you motivation to go and create revenue somewhere to try and figure out how to get it, like that's the game, man. Like it doesn't matter what that driver is. In saying that, like as I've got older, yeah, definitely I used to be like, no, it's a massive garage on a massive piece of land with 50 Lamborghinis in the garage. My mind was like set on this dream life and at the racetrack every day and enough money to retire and do what I want. The reality is like none of that stuff truly like creates fulfillment, right? I've already bought nice brand new cars now, and the cool feeling of buying your first brand new car only happens once. I bought another brand new car like 18 months after my first brand new car, and I was like, oh, just give me the keys, mate. I'm out of here. Like it only happens once, and it doesn't matter after that, and it doesn't have the same feeling, so it's cool to achieve. And I know that the day that I pick up the Lambo may be closer to the first day you buy your brand new car type feeling, but it'll go away 3 months later once you've driven it for a while, So the reality is that for me, I think like time freedom is like my freedom goal. Being able to choose what you do with your time is like the ultimate win for me.
Well, it is time is currency, and you only have a finite amount of time on
it's
this
the most scarce currency on the planet. Yeah,
exactly. So you want to spend it wisely and on things that bring you fulfillment and joy and happiness.
I think time freedom is like a great overarching thing for most people, because everyone says they'd like to retire early and stuff, but the reality is like you don't want to retire early if you really like the work that you do. You'll just keep working, or you would want to do it less so you can spend more time with family and friends, or spend more time with your parents before they die, or whatever the reason is your own reason. But time freedom allows, like, umbrellas everything, right? Yeah. And it's like, it's selfish. It's like, I want time so I can choose what I want to do. And how do you create that? You got to figure out some numbers and how you want to run your life and choose what direction you want to take. And it's a big problem to solve, but it's worth fighting for.
Yeah, what does that future look like to you?
Me, I'm living it, man. Like I'm pretty much done, to be honest. I love what I do now. Yeah. there is like a tiny part of me, like I said earlier, I've got shiny object syndrome. I do have like occasional thoughts of like, I wonder if I sold my business one day, I went and tried something else, if I could do the same. But that's just like an ego stroking thing, right? So I don't know, like,
Well, maybe you buy into another business, and a lot of people buy other businesses and make them profitable.
yeah,
So,
I don't know.
yeah,
We'll see. I don't know. I change my mind on that kind of thing all the time. Like the best thing I've ever done is convince myself to not get distracted and just continue to focus on like the same thing that I do
mm,
every day, which is run Guardian really well and try and
yeah,
grow it. Yeah.
yeah. And what does Guardian actually mean for you? When you started Guardian, what was that vision
It's a
around?
funny story. Probably at the start of Guardian, do you want to know about why it's called that, or do you want to know like,
Yeah,
do you want to know?
tell
Okay.
us all.
Okay, so at the start of Guardian, before it was opened, before I decided I was just a mortgage advisor. Well, not just a mortgage advisor. I was a mortgage advisor doing quite well. And I thought this has effectively, eventually you get to a cap. No matter how good you are, there's only so many meetings you can do in a week, and that's your cap. So I didn't reach that point. At some points, like some months of a year, I would reach that point. And I was like, oh, if I want to make more money than this, I have to make the whole company. I have to make the company where people like me would come and work, like I was working for another company. So that was it. It was money based, like literally nothing else. I didn't care about people, meaning, purpose, none of that shit. So that was the first like decision that I made. There were some things that happened along the way. Like I bumped into some people that encouraged me to do it after I'd been sort of thinking about it, which was cool. And then the name thing is interesting because I sat down with a branding specialist and logo person, and they ask you all these questions, and you pay them good money, right? And they asked these questions, and they started asking me about what I know and where I've learned things and all this and who I respect. And it came down to like dad and like, what's something about your dad that would be different that you remember forever? And I was like, oh, he's an orphan. And they're like, that's it. It's Smith, your last name. And then the word in front is the name of the orphanage. Do you know it? And sorry, my light just went out. And I was like, I don't know the name of the orphanage, but I'll find out. So I contacted my old man, and I can't even remember the name of it. It was something like Saint Josephine or something like that. I was like, oh man, I can't have that as the name. So flag that. And then I was just lying in bed that night, and I just looked up like finance companies on Wall Street and just started scrolling like down the names of offices on Google Maps. And one was called like Guardian Financial Services, like sweets, Guardian Smith. That was it. So I just made it up. So both of those things don't have like a purposeful story or anything. But what I did find once we battled through like the first stages, it was about when we got to about 8 people in the company, where the company changed from like money to like help. Like I really started to enjoy watching the people inside the company win and their lives improve and stuff like that. And now the whole purpose of Guardian is that, like, if you come and be a Guardian advisor, whether you're a mortgage advisor, insurance advisor, KiwiSaver advisor, if you join us, like our goal is to help you be the best you can. And it's about the people. So yeah, it has changed.
Yeah. And what would you say to someone who's wanting to go out on their own as an entrepreneur? It's not a straight line. It's up and down all over the place. And especially in this current financial environment that we're in, the
Yeah, it's a
economic
mess.
environment, which is a mess here. What would you say to someone who's just venturing out into entrepreneurship or starting the business?
I'd say, how poor are you now? If you keep doing what you do now, what is your situation like in 30 years from now?
Mm,
And do you think it's worth making any changes to change the outcome of that? And then like everyone, once they have that view, it's like, depends what your skill is, because like the thing that I did, it's easy. There's already a service in the industry existed. I didn't create anything new or have to build a product or get something produced or have a big lease or anything at the start. Like I could be a mortgage broker out of my garage, and it's a services business. I think that's kind of like, I like services businesses, although they're probably the most risky ones in terms of the way AI is going. But yeah, if you go down the trying to invent a new industry one, that's like the biggest win, obviously. Like Mark Zuckerberg figured that out. If you create social media or whatever, that can be the biggest win. But there's heaps of stuff you can do just to improve on what you do right now. Like a lot of people, I think, want to be an entrepreneur because they don't like what they do. But like the best way to be an entrepreneur is do what you're doing and do it for yourself. Like if you're an accountant in a firm, if you go out and you're making $100,000 a year, if you go out and provide your services to the public, you can make 200 or 300 grand a year. And that might be the start of you making your own firm or whatever it is. But yeah, just think long term, and then like the risk of not doing something is way worse, to be honest.
yeah. I remember when I had David Neathie on the podcast, and we were talking, and he said, you know what a job is? And I said, well, it's something that you do, right? He goes, yeah, it's just over broke. And I'm like, okay. Yeah. I mean, for me, after about 24 restructures and 4 redundancies, the job actually became a prison for me.
Yeah.
And so after 30 years in the corporate world, I was like, that's it, I've had enough. But like entrepreneurship is not for everyone. It's definitely, it takes a lot of
Man,
resilience to,
yeah, I know. Yeah, it's probably partly so over my last, let's say, 4 years, which is basically back to like the birth of Guardian. I can't even begin to like. We don't have enough time left before midnight to explain all the hard things that I've had to do to like keep the lights on and stuff. It's way harder than people think. And I know that people out there will try and copy Guardian and try and do their own version. And even some of our advisors one day might decide to leave and try and create. They've learned everything they can here, and they'll go and take all that learning and go and build their own thing. It's so not worth it. Like in a financial sense, like you actually have to have the purpose for the people and the culture and stuff, because I would be so much richer if I'd stayed a mortgage advisor. Like, and I was still self-employed. I still had control of my time. I had control of my future, but the amount of risk and like liability and stress and the amount of opportunity costs, everything that you take on and put yourself through to like create something that's bigger than average is it's brutal. And I think part of it is we've effectively been in like a 3-year per capita recession, but it is what it is. You can't change that. You got to keep going. But it's brutal, man. It is definitely not for everyone, and like you do have to have an iron mind if you want to have a crack at it, because you just have to be able to like push on and regardless of the conditions and continue focusing on the end goal.
Yeah. How is AI changing your profession?
Game changer.
And
Yeah. Software and AI starting to blend. Previously, it was software. So like I've been on this weird journey where I've nearly been in financial services for nearly a decade now, and I could make about $200K when I started out, when it was like pen, paper, driving around, and I was working real hard. Then I needed to hire someone. And then if I wanted to get to 400K, it was another hire and blah, 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 and so on. And we've got advisors now at Guardian that are doing 750, 800K, no staff. And there is no way that I could have done that. And like, I'm a bit retarded on a computer, maybe, and like, my computer literacy is not that good in terms of like using new software when it was coming out. So I needed staff to help me do the admin. But these guys now are just like, they don't even know how good they've got it compared to like what we used to do, with paper loan applications and driving back to the office at 9 p.m. at night to like enter it into the computer while you still had something in your mind. And, like that game's over. We've just, the transcript rolls off the meeting. It goes into the system. It picks up everything you need, it loads it in. Documents get auto-filled. Like it is epic. And yeah, we're probably like slightly frontierish in terms of financial services and what we're using AI for. I don't know how long that gap will stay open, but for now, like we're probably semi-leaders in it. I know a couple of other guys in the business that are doing pretty cool things with it too. But yeah, it's amazing, man.
Yeah, this whole podcast is systemized and automated. And apart from this part of it, right? Apart from us and the physical editing, but even that is partly actually automated as well. But from what used to take me like a whole day to edit and publish, and believe it, I'm releasing 3 episodes a week.
Wow.
And what used to take me a whole day now takes me less than a quarter of the time because I've systemized and automated it. And the only reason I've been able to do that is because I've spent 30 years in technology and I'm able to pick up AI and things really quickly. But yeah, like from the transcript, the article gets written, the page gets created, so you get a dedicated page for your episode, a practical guide gets created, and there's heaps of other stuff in the back end. All the information goes into a knowledge base, which the agent on the front of the website can answer questions and give you give you episode recommendations, article recommendations, all sorts of stuff. And I've done that all in 5 months by myself.
Yeah, that's the crazy part.
That's so crazy. It's like I had an idea, a thought. I had the creativity, the critical thinking. I was able to then ideate with one AI platform, ChatGPT, and then I had another platform which I do the building, and bang, it just like honestly, an idea comes, I make it happen. So gone are the days, and I was just actually having a chat with someone, is that gone are the days where you had to go and buy a SaaS product and pay monthly. Now you can actually spin up your own SaaS product within minutes.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm talking
cool.
minutes. You come up with the idea, you can make it happen within minutes. So it's just...
And it's malleable too. Like we built something that was really cool and the advisors loved it. And then someone asked if like this could be added, and we had added it into this particular dashboard within like a day. You know, like it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like if you have a third party CRM, for example, and you send them, hey, this isn't working properly, or can you add this to it? It's like, see you in 6 months.
Exactly.
We're like, no, done, add it in. It's so cool.
Yeah, so imagine what's going to happen with the SaaS world and the large companies. I think there's going to be a massive shakeup.
Yeah, I'd say so. It feels like it's
Yeah,
pretty disruptive.
yeah, it is. Now let's talk a little bit about the economy. It's quite tough right now at the moment for a
hmm
lot of people, but you talk about the recession being a mindset thing. Can you explain what you mean by that?
I've been saying that for the last 3 years, man, but it's been a grind. So there's definitely like the economy is not healthy, and eventually it bloody hurts. I do feel sorry for just like business owners in general that have. There's probably in any other 5-year period of time over the last 30 years, they would be profitable and living a good life. But right now, that's tough. People in that sector, man, my heart goes out to them because it is brutal out there. Recession is a mindset because there is always someone doing well no matter what the conditions are. And although the economy is effectively cooked, in the whole time of the 3 or 4 years that we've been going, like 3 years of that 4 has been a per capita recession. And the only year that wasn't was like 2022 when I was starting and had no one anyway. And I've managed to grow a national company with 50 people, have big offices in Auckland and Christchurch. We've got advisors in, Taranaki, Hawke's Bay, Blenheim. And that's purely because the recession is the recession. I can't control it. Like, I've got to try and grow a business. And part of the conversation that we have is like, when it gets hard, you got to work harder. Unfortunately, that's just the rules of the game. And, it means doing certain things differently. Like, we have to watch our profit and loss statements really carefully and make sure that you stay profitable and you stay above water and things like this. But also you have to be careful about the decisions you make and how you're going to try and grow, because you probably have to be a bit more strategic when you're in a recession. It's easy to throw money at, Facebook ads and marketing and stuff when everything's frothy, because everything converts, because everyone's out like hunting for the mortgage advisor because they need to buy a house, and they work real good then. But when they're the standard, do you need a mortgage advisor ad or whatever on Facebook, like, doesn't fly when it's tough times. So you've got to be more clever about things and just think about it. But in terms of if you can make it through like an economic recession once and do well through it, it's like the biggest cheat code, because
Yeah.
then you become recession-proof in the way that you think.
Yeah, it is a mindset, because if you keep listening to the noise out there and you're relying on the government's never going to.
Nah,
I think,
you don't get any support.
Yeah, I think you've got to take your responsibility for yourself, just like you do in life, and think outside the box rather than.
This is my view, man. Like, I think we in New Zealand, incomes get taxed too much.
Yeah,
Like, I think 39% is egregious for the value that you get provided as a citizen when you go over 180. And, it's funny when I see guys come into our company and they're obviously not on the income that they pay that tax rate. But once they get into that tax rate, they start going, man, we pay a lot of tax. Yeah. So anyway, but
I was talking to a lady in Dubai on the podcast last week, and she said there's no tax, and I was like,
nah,
geez, I need to move to Dubai then.
yeah, pretty good, eh? But at the end of the day, at the same time, it's like the answer to that is I can't control the tax. It doesn't matter if I go and walk down Queen Street with a big picket sign like saying you tax us too high. I'm not going to change it. It's out of my control. So it is what it is. And the only answer is to make more money.
Yeah,
So figure out how to do that. And that's what you put
Yeah.
your time into, like, yes, it's harder than it was 5 years ago. Yes, it's harder than our parents, whatever. There's all these things, but the reality is like, this is it though.
yeah.
Like, what are you going to do about it? So just get on with it.
Yeah, my biggest bugbear of the tax is that we have voted a government in, we've voted a council in as well. And having worked for Auckland Transport and Council, I know what goes on inside those walls. But it's like they just spend the money on stupid things. They just go and make bloody rules and do this and stupid bloody spending.
But like jokes on you. You thought voting in someone would change it. Did you think they were honest?
No, well, I have a love-hate relationship with the government now, so it's
I've been on. I sort of stopped talking about them on the Keep the Change podcast too much, because I was talking about how they lie and are full of shit back in the early days and COVID and stuff, and how the money system works and all of that. So I sort of don't worry about it now. It's all bullshit.
Yeah. I don't watch the news. I haven't watched the news for
That's
probably
smart.
10 years. And I remember, actually probably longer than that. And I remember an ex-workmate said to me, but what happens if something happens and you need to know? I said, well, if I need to know, it will flash up on my phone, and then I'll take action. But I said, I don't need to wake up every morning and listen to a whole lot of shit and the media that is making things sound really bad. And at the end of the day, if that's what you're waking up to, then guess what's happening to the rest of your day? Your mindset is, you're programming your mind for the worst, right?
Yeah.
But if you wake up and you're grateful and you're like, you know what, I'm awesome, I've got a great business and I'm looking forward to serving people. And I think if you come from the heart of servanthood, stewardship, and also that you can help someone solve a problem. And as what you said before, if you're starting a business, then what are the skills that you've got? And then how can you help solve a problem for someone?
Yeah, that's
That's
all
the
it is.
basis of a business, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree massively. I think there's heaps of people I reckon there's heaps of clever people in waste of time shithouse jobs. That's
Yeah.
what I reckon.
Yeah.
So, there's lots of people out there that say like, the human race has got dumber because of phones and stuff like that. I reckon they're just not being utilized correctly. I reckon the human race is smarter than ever. I back us to absolutely smash it, eh? I just reckon we're just seat filling in so many places.
Yeah, 100%. We've got knowledge at the tip of our fingers. And, if we, like you said, if we use it properly, then we can create so much change. We talked about news and stuff. How do you keep your mindset away from all that full of doom and gloom and all that stuff?
I was probably becoming like I was starting to like not trust large institutions and stuff prior to COVID, but COVID like pushed me over the edge, eh? When we were locked down and every day people were turning on their TV at 1 p.m. to watch the next update, and I'd walk around to my mate's house and the cops would turn up because the neighbors saw me there, so they narked on me, and I was just like, oh man, after that, I was just like, I'm not listening to any of this shit ever again. And saying that, man, like the news and the propaganda machine finds a way, eh? Like I really like finance and markets and stuff, so I've like curated a feed. I've trained the algorithm on Twitter to like give me that stuff. I follow certain CEOs, I follow certain hedge funds, I follow certain people that I like hearing from their opinion from. And every now and then you'll open it and there'll be something about like it links in with like what Trump's up to or what the Prime Minister in New Zealand's up to, the oil crisis, because there's a finance crossover in everything. So it's hard to block out completely, but yeah, I don't have TV, like I don't have TV 1, 2, and 3. I don't have any of that shit. I don't have Sky. I've got a few of the streaming services because I like entertainment now and then, but nah, not really, eh? Like I just stay away from it. I just block it out. It's pointless. Like you said, if something's important enough, it'll get to me anyway. Like, if something's really important, I've got a phone number, you can call me.
Exactly. Do you know, on all my social media apps, I only get self-development, that kind of stuff, like...
You've curated your feed.
Yeah, literally nothing else comes on mine. And if anything else comes, I just go, not interested. And then eventually... But yeah, I can go into TikTok, Instagram, I can go into Facebook or LinkedIn, or LinkedIn's a bit different, but all the other ones, I just get exactly what I want. So when I wake up and if I do open up my phone and go to TikTok or something, I'm only going to get like stuff that's feeding good stuff into my brain, into my mind. So
Yeah, it's the way to do it. I don't see any benefit in knowing about, like, every now and then I'll get in one of my old cars, because every time I get in the car, my phone links up and it runs a podcast that I want to listen to or music that I want to listen to. So I don't even listen to the radio. But every now and then I'll get into one of my old classic cars and that is radio only. And, top of the hour news comes on. I'm like, that's so disgusting. Who listens to that? I'm so out of tune of it. Like, yeah, it's like this person had a car crash and this road's dangerous. And this person, someone's got rain anxiety and the teachers are worried about the change in the education system. I'm like, fucking hell, what a waste of space.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, the whole system's stuffed anyway. Now, you're big on the personal responsibility, which we've just been talking about. But why do you think that is a foundation for anyone trying to build a long-term wealth?
Well, just in general, like I reckon if you consciously change in your mind this idea around blame, excuse, and deny, and then just go, everything is my fault. And if you start with that as your baseline, anything that goes wrong, any problem that occurs, anything, and like people laugh and it's like, you come out of the supermarket and your car's got a door ding in it. And they're like, well, that's not your fault. I'm like, yeah, it is. It's because you parked it there. If you parked it over the back where there's no one parked, it would have been fine. So like this personal responsibility, taken to the extreme, is an exceptional way to live, and you start to solve all sorts of problems because of it. I think that it's the best, and I don't think it's common to do that.
I agree with you, because like I believe that everything happens on the external is a reflection of what's happening inside of you, and it's like your limiting beliefs or the way you think about things. You're sowing seeds. Your words have seeds. Your thoughts have seeds. And the question, your mind goes all the way through your body, and if you're sowing those seeds into the soil of your body, then guess what's going to grow?
Just think
whatever
that,
you
like,
feed yourself.
I just think if you start with everything is my fault, it's just the best learning tool. Like it can be for anything, like in business, when something goes wrong, you go, right, it's my fault. How do I don't like that it's my fault, so I have to make something or
change it.
change it so it doesn't happen again? Like, how do I implement a solution here, or what do I need to do next time? And then you change it, and then you never have that problem again. Whereas if I'm like, that person didn't get approved because the bank said this, it's the bank's fault, like, I'm never going to fix it. So it actually forces you, it creates like the self-criticizing loop that forces you into, you can never build perfection, but it gets you into a much more refined space so you can operate at a higher level when you do think like that. You know, like the other day I went and flew a radio control plane, and it was the first time that I've done it in years, and I crashed it. And it's because I'm not good enough yet. What is the cost? You have to go and fix the plane and think about what you did wrong. And I literally pulled the plane up and figured out what I'd done wrong by looking at it. And I was like, oh, I put the battery too far forward and it made it nosedive, and then I stalled it and all of this, right? So it makes you think, and it's my fault because I put the battery in there. And it's like, cool, next time, once I fix the plane, I'll go fly it again. I know I won't do that. I might crash it again, but it'll be for a different reason. It won't be the same reason. I could just be upset and be like, something happened. I couldn't explain why the controls didn't work properly, park it in the shed and leave it in bits. Then you're a bitch. So you've actually got to like take some responsibility and get on with it and find solutions.
Yeah, failure is part of life. It's part of journey. It's how you learn. And I mean, it's like when
only if you take responsibility for it. Like
exactly.
Failure sucks when you blame someone.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So you got to ask yourself: are you coming from above the line or below the line? Are you blaming other people, or are you taking responsibility?
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, it's a big one for sure.
So, but a lot of people stay stuck in the whole blame and victim mindset rather than going, okay, I can't control what's happening externally. And like you said, we can't control what's happening in the economic financial situation, but we can control how we show up each day and how we raise the bar for ourselves and go,
Sure.
Okay, this didn't work. What can I do different? And how do I raise the bar? Every guest that comes on this podcast says to me, what you're doing in terms of podcasting, no other podcast is doing. And they said, we've been on 200 podcasts because I've raised the bar for myself and every other podcaster out there because
yeah, man, the prep and stuff you sent through with it's amazing. It's a hell of a system. Even the website, I went and had a look at the website. The website's gangster.
Mate, you'll get a page dedicated to you with everything. And honestly, I've not seen any other podcaster do any of what I'm doing.
Nah, you're definitely one-on-one in that regard.
Yeah. So I've always been like this. Like even when I worked in corporate, I would raise my standards to the highest level. And I remember when I was at Auckland Transport, calling out AT. So when I was there, I was in leadership and I was the conduit between the technical teams and the business. And I raised my bar because I wanted to make sure that I showed up authentically and the business had the trust in me because I was representing data analytics to the whole business. And I worked across all 10 divisions by myself, right? And so one of the managers at my level, she came up to me and she said, hey, Anthony, can you stop being so good at what you do because you're showing us up? I'm like, fuck off. It's not my problem. It's like, you need to step up. You need to level up. I'm not going to drop my level of working just for you because I've gone out there and built the trust with the business. But just because you can't deliver, she was a program manager. I said, just because you can't deliver, it's not my problem, right? So I've always been like that. I kind of liken myself to a younger version of, I think like Steve Jobs and Elon Musk and those kind of people because
wow, that's a big claim.
I'm always thinking outside the box. Like I always think, and to be able to create what I've created, I had to think in a different way.
For sure.
Yeah. What you see on the front end of the website which will look amazing, is nothing compared to what's happening in the back end. I've got a full guesting system at the moment where I've got 63 guests in my pipeline now, and I do everything myself. Can you imagine how that works? It's because I've used technology and AI to help me work it better. Yeah. Because I understand, I've been in it for 30 years, so I understand it. Now, let's carry on. Why do you think we find it hard to own those mistakes of ours? Ego? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we got pretty soft in that regard, to be honest. Like, everyone's so scared of being embarrassed when they do make a mistake or something these days because everything's public. Like, how often do you see, online when, like Vodafone or Air New Zealand are getting carved up because by like a random post that someone did that went viral, and, everyone like celebrates when that happens when it's a big corporate. But what's actually happening is you're seeing evidence that it can happen to anyone. So if it hits a big corporate and it gets taken seriously there, people were like, oh, I can't take a risk because if I get this wrong and make a mistake, then someone might post online. And this is a subconscious like thing that's going on in people's mind, right? When they're trying to do something. It's like, I see it with my guys sometimes when they want to start social media and, they get a few videos in, get a bad comment and they don't like it. And I'm like, it's the part of the game. You don't need 50% to like you. It's just the way it is. And I don't know, I guess it's pretty scary. And it's kind of the public shaming and stuff like that with comments on social media and pushback or public humiliation because of the access to tech and, software and social media and all that kind of stuff that we have. It's kind of sad because I reckon it does stop good people from doing more stuff. But again, the answer is just to like toughen up and just move forward and keep pushing because there's no other way around that. Like, man, you can say anything to me and I just do not care. I have had death threats in the comments. I've had all sorts of stuff said about members of my family, whatever. Like, it means nothing to me. It just doesn't matter. And what happens over time is the comments stop happening because
you're not feeding them. Yeah.
Well, I just send back laughing emojis. Like, I don't give a fuck, So it's like, good on you. And eventually, it doesn't work. People realize that it's pointless talking to this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Let's talk about financial freedom. Many people think that it's about a certain number in the bank, but you seem to view it as more of a discipline. How do you define true freedom?
Well, I think it's time, like I said earlier, but financial freedom is interesting though, because you do need money. There's two parts to it. There's like the personal side of it, but the important part is like how the monetary system works. And effectively, you need to have assets to protect your wealth. If you live and breathe in dollars and bank accounts, you will get cleaned out and you will not make retirement. So it's really important now. And I think this is kind of maybe I didn't know this at the start, but I've obviously figured it out over time. Like, it's one of the reasons why I reckon Guardian exists. Someone can come to us and ask for a mortgage or an approval and buy their first home or whatever, but they can walk out with downside protection, with, KiwiSaver set up so they retire with actual money instead of, bank fund money or term deposit money or whatever. They make sure they don't have a mortgage when they retire. And it's really important, like, you will get cleaned out if you don't have assets. And it doesn't take much to start. I think people get turned off by assets because you put $5,000 in and it goes up and you've got 5,500. And you haven't moved the needle. Like, it didn't make you rich, but you need to do that every day for 20 years. Yeah,
consistently.
And it will move the needle. And, like the way that our money works, it's always losing value over time relative to everything around us. And that's a feature, not a bug, so that the governments can inflate away debt and stuff like that. But the reality is like, we're getting the value. We go to work and we earn $1,000 or whatever it is, and then instantly, as soon as you get that $1,000, it's slowly getting stolen from you via inflation. It is instant. It's a silent tax that is continuously working to steal the energy that you just output at work. And they've given you a note or $1,000 and they've said, here you go, that's for your work. And it is not storage. It is the purpose of those dollars is to put it somewhere where it can compound and grow and at least keep up with inflation, because you will get annihilated if you don't. So understanding that side of it. And then the other side of it, like the freedom part, is, maybe you don't need so much, maybe you do, but I'd be thinking more about, like, one of the best things I ever did was like genuinely sit down in the office for a whole weekend and think about what I wanted life to look like at 65, and then reverse engineer it back to today. It's a big task. I had a big whiteboard out. I was drawing bloody shit all over it, and I'm like, this. I want this home and this car and this family and this wife and these kids and these holidays every year, and this is what the cost of everything is. Reverse engineer it back, and it's like, cool. I need to do 2 meetings a week. That's not so bad. And you get to work and you grind and you figure out how to do 2 meetings a week, and you can achieve the goals. Like, actually putting like stuff in line and then creating your own freedom, like being strategic about it and getting on with it. It's important.
Yeah. What is the hardest thing that you've had to unlearn about money?
It's all fake, man.
It's just energy, right?
Well, it's a terrible, it's a representation. Money, as soon as you get it, is a representation of the energy that went into whatever the trade that was occurring. It could have been for work. It could have been for selling a car. But after that, money sitting idle is terrible. So the biggest thing I learned about money is that, it is constantly devaluing your effort all the time. Like the inflation thing is like so much more toxic than people, it's the propaganda thing. Like, economists say, oh, we need to have it, or the Reserve Bank's like, we need to have a 1 to 3 band of inflation, 1 to 3% a year. Then the way that they do inflation is what they call CPI, which is a basket of goods. And if you go and read the basket of goods, you're like, oh, half of the stuff isn't in my life, and half of it's like TVs. So you only buy one TV every 5 years, plus they're super deflationary, because I remember when TVs were like 10 grand and now they're like $800.
Yeah, exactly.
So like they are, the tech on TVs is so good that they're extremely deflationary. So they keep the government inflation numbers down because that's something that's in the basket. But like steak, like something you need, food,
or butter,
stuff like that, like they're getting exactly. So those things inflate at like 5 to 10%, and then TVs and technology come down at like 10% less every year, and they balance everything out and keep all the numbers looking good. The whole thing is just like a massive. I mean, again, it is what it is, but the whole thing is like a bit of a scam.
It is because like your basic needs, like your food and stuff, shouldn't be taxed, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, or
staple food.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different things. Like, why don't you just stop making our money less valuable? Like, if I put $1,000 on my mattress, I'd like to buy $1,000 worth of goods next year, but I can't do that because the price of everything would have gone up next year. So there's so many things to learn about money, like the debt system. But the main thing that's really important for people is like that inflation is the enemy, and you need to protect yourself from it. It was probably the most important thing I learned. Like $1,000 now is not $1,000 in 10 years. Like it needs to be 10 grand. So yeah,
exactly. How do you balance that discipline with actually enjoying life? That you're building.
Man, I don't know. I don't know about like this work-life balance thing.
There's no balance. It's harmony.
I don't even know. Like, just do whatever you want. Yeah, I don't have like a theory on that. Like, I've never had burnout. Like I did 7 days for 4.5 years straight, including Christmases, and I never burnt out. But it was probably because I was like fired up and liked what I was doing, and I liked the growth and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And like, I probably wouldn't go into a period like that again. It was just a season I was in, unless something got me real fired up again, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know about all this balance and shit. I don't never think about it. I don't care.
Do you know, in the last 6 months that I've been building all the tech website and everything for the podcast, I probably have maybe 6 hours sleep every night, because as you get older, you have less sleep anyway. I'm 55, and so in the last 6 months, I work up until like 1:30 in the morning every night, and then I wake up at before 7, and there's some days I do 3 podcast episodes a day.
Nice.
But I'm just so focused and so enjoying the whole process that
it's
doesn't.
Easy.
It's easy. It's like I don't feel like I'm burnt out or tired or anything.
Yeah.
For the first time in my life, I felt that way.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had a couple of sort of time periods where I've had that, so pretty lucky to have it. Yeah, I don't know, man, because I made a conscious decision at the start of this year to make a few changes about what I was doing because my priorities did change. So I've just got to get to work and make the changes. I don't know. It's not about balance. I want to do this more. I want to do that more. I want to move into this area. Like, that's just being an adult. Okay. That means you can't do 7 days nonstop. It means you've got to do like have a weekend or something like that. And it's cool. I've just got to figure out how to fit my 7 days into 5, and I just do it.
Yeah, 100%. Cool. Now, last set of questions before we do the quick fire. For a person listening to this episode who wants to step up but feels held back by fear or uncertainty, what is the mindset shift they need to make to start growing again?
Zoom out. Like 100% think about, like, if you're 35 years old now and you can't make a decision because you're scared about, taking a risk of going self-employed or whatever the thing is to go and ask for that job, if you're scared of it because you've got your income now and in your house or whatever the situation is, fast forward your exact situation now and the roadmap that you're on to when you're 65, because you'll be able to work out when you put it into a calculator what your mortgage will be then if it's paid off, and what your KiwiSaver will be then, and what your income will be then based on what you've earned over the last 5 years. And then if you're happy with that, you can stay where you are. But if you're not, time for a change. Make the decision.
Absolutely. What is the one thing that you do every day to keep your iron mindset sharp?
Every day, probably 5 coffees.
Something that you do for yourself that's really gets you,
I don't have like a set routine or anything. I do like going for, and this isn't every day, but occasionally I'll just jump in a car and go for a drive. Yeah. That's probably the one thing that I do that's like maybe different to other people or whatever. Like like on Sunday, I just went for a drive around Auckland. Like we went out west and then out to Coatesville and through Dairy Flat, then back down the East Coast Road, and just for a cruise in one of my cars. And it was like, hour and a half just for a drive for no reason. It's probably the only thing I do for myself to like not work, but everything else is like get to work as early as possible and leave as late as possible.
I'm
Yeah.
guessing you don't have a wife?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
You do have a wife.
Yeah. She's a champ. She knows we're building.
Oh, good on you.
Yeah.
Good on her as well.
She came from on the run for the drive.
Oh, nice. Awesome.
Yeah.
So if someone's feeling stuck right now, what is the smallest win they can aim for today?
Smallest win. Small. I don't like that word. Aim bigger.
Okay, go for big event.
Yeah, just choose something bigger. Like, yeah, I mean, I reckon people get stuck because they sweat the small stuff. Choose something bigger. Go after something bigger and like get on with it. Because like big ain't gonna fix itself like overnight. Like a small thing, like I hear this stuff about you start with making your bed and you go to the gym at 5:30 and all of this shit. Just choose something big. Like I said to myself, like I'll build a 75-person company. We're at 50 now, and like doesn't matter like how many times you make your bed. We'll fucking go to the gym. Like that doesn't happen without like day in, day out execution and action.
Yeah.
So like choose something bigger.
Yeah. And be consistent as well.
Yeah. Little things are easy to cheat. Cause like a little thing, like make the bed and then you've started the day off right. Like, I mean, yeah, that's true, whatever. But also that means you don't have to make the bed the next day. Like you need to create something that's like worth continuously doing forever.
100%. Yeah. Now, Mikey, if people have been watching and listening to this episode and they resonate with what you've said and they want to connect with you, they want to tell us a little bit about you, how people can connect with you, what's on offer at the moment with Guardian Smith, and and have you written a book or anything that as well?
Nah, I've been offered to recently actually, but I don't really. Man, I'm not really like a legacy-ish kind of guy. Like, nah, it doesn't really turn me on, so I probably wouldn't even do that. Yeah, I mean, you can hit me up at any time, anywhere. Like, you Google Mikey Smith, I come up. Instagram, official Mikey Smith, guardiansmith.co.nz is the website. You can contact us for, life insurance, mortgage advice, KiwiSaver advice. Like, we're the full package in terms of financial services. And it's all free. Like, we get paid by the providers when we take you to them after giving you advice. You're going to go there anyway, so you might as well come through us and actually get set up correctly and do things properly because it's worth doing. So,
what's the biggest difference between yourself, Guardian Smith, and any other mortgage company?
I don't really know, man. Like people tell me all sorts of stuff. Like we've got, collectively thousands of 5-star Google reviews, and when we pull those out, it's quite common things like the communication that such and such gave me was really high. I felt like I was their only client. The knowledge was really high. So like internally, we have multiple people that are training advisors and stuff all the time. They've all got access to me. Multiple brains will attack one problem at a time, and the client doesn't know that's going on. The client thinks that the mortgage advisor is just looking after their loan and talking to the bank. Behind the scenes, we're just carving shit up. And I think that comes through that way, right? So those are the reasons why I guess people like using us, and we've just got a proven track record now.
Yeah. What's your values?
Values?
For Guardian Smith?
I'll pull them up. I can't even remember, mate. They don't mean that much to me. One of them I know is speed. I reckon speed is like there's like pillars of what, if you combine them all, it makes the house of value. And speed is like the biggest win that you can get. Like in terms of value, it's the strongest pillar of value. Like if you do nothing else well, but do your job really fast and the client has no time to like go away and think or whatever, or decide that you weren't that good. If you're just fast and you do and you operate like a weapon, like you can do really well. There's lots of things like existing businesses in New Zealand and big corporate companies and all sorts that are very slow, and they are ripe for taking down purely with speed. That's one of them. I've got them here. Oh, this is a good one, actually. The victim mindset, not the victim, so take responsibility, allow yourself to learn, but it is your fault, all that kind of stuff. Clues in the title, it's the service industry, so you've got to provide high quality service. And like, what is that? That is basically, you're dealing with someone, so you have to be professional. You have to have manners. You have to remember their names. You have to call them and tell them where everything's at. You have to communicate. Like, this is what service is. You need to make them feel like you're doing a good job and then actually go and do a good job. Sounds simple, not so easy to do. Like, it's really important.
It's called building a relationship, right? And trust.
Yeah.
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 Give more than is expected.
Yeah.
This is another one that I put in there. Like it's a funny game because it's commission based, right? So the incentive is to hunt commission, and we need it. Like that's how we live. We need to be paid, and you can't provide any financial advice if you're not profitable. So you do have to make money. But at the same time, you have to have an abundant mindset and know that you will get paid in financial services or as a guardian advisor if you continue to overgive and expect nothing in return, because that's what creates a reputation. If you're constantly helping people sort their finances, get better results, better loan structure, better insurance, better KiwiSaver results, it's stupid to think that you won't get paid. So continuously give and give and give and give, and eventually you get paid. So that's it. That's our values.
Nice. Thanks
I
for
had to
sharing
read
that.
them. Had to read them though.
Had to read them.
Yeah, I was just reading them, being like, "Shit, I was good back then, eh?" Because I would have written these like 4 years ago. They're like, "Nah, they still hold true."
Okay, Mikey, we're at the quickfire questions. You got 6 really quickfire questions, so you can answer these in a one word or short sentence.
Okay.
And the first question is, how do you define success, and has that definition evolved for you over time?
How do I answer that quickly? I don't even define success. It is what you make it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's been your greatest inspiration and why?
Probably Dad. And why? I don't know. He taught me like most of the stuff I know. He taught me business. He taught me how to fix things. He taught me how to look after things. He taught me how to be honest. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What's something that you believe that others may disagree with?
I don't think there should be any traffic lights or speed bumps. I reckon traffic and road safety would improve if we removed it.
Yeah, I'll back you on that one. And taxes as well. If you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Ooh, maybe learn about how money works and take it more serious earlier. I cared about it, but I didn't educate myself around it correctly. So I got it like in my late 20s, but it took me a while. And I think if I took it seriously earlier, but then saying that, I'm not in a bad spot now, so I don't really care.
Yeah.
Hard to know, man.
And if the government's listening, they should probably actually teach people in school.
Yeah, stop
about
taxing
this a
us,
bit
you
better.
dogs.
Yeah. So take some advice from Mikey and myself and start teaching kids in school. And what is one message that you'd like to share with the world?
Inflation is theft.
Okay. And last question for you is, what does it mean to you to be a champion and have a champion mindset?
Oh man, I don't really label myself with that stuff, to be honest. I wouldn't consider myself a champion. I just consider myself like a pretty good person trying to have a good crack. And yeah, I love people around me. I love the people at my company, and yeah,
Just be a genuine good type person.
Yeah, and then if they don't like me, I hope they tell me, and I'll change it.
Okay, cool. I've got one last question. What is one mindset quote that you resonate with? That's always stuck with you.
I don't know, man. I'm not into these quotes and stuff. It might not be Henry Ford, but there's something like that that's like, basically like the work behind the scenes and the detail that, that's when no one's looking is the bit that counts. And I think that's very true. Like, because what that is relating to all the people, the overnight success stories and stuff. It's never is. There's 10 years that went into it, or 5 years in the build up. So
100%.
Yeah.
We only see the success, but we don't look at the journey that they've been on.
Yeah, I've tried to tell it on like various podcasts about how hard it is to like grow a business a bit, just to try and make sure people understand, because I know that Guardian's going to be such a big company and so successful that I'll get all the hate later on. And I'll be like, go look at the back catalogue of the grind. But we'll see. Probably won't matter.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to get you back to do more. Maybe come and do finance series or something for us.
Yeah, you start getting me talking about finance, mate. I'll carve it up.
Yeah, we'll just break it into little short episodes that people can take.
Nice.
Mikey, I've really enjoyed this chat. That's actually the most organic chat I've had so far. Over 220 episodes.
It's funny. I get that a lot, actually.
Yeah, so like in the beginning, we didn't even go through the script. It was just like, yeah, go for it. But I really enjoyed this chat. And one thing that's really stuck out to me is that about our motivation change as we grow. And true freedom comes from the work we love to do, not just the stuff that we buy as well. If you want to move the needle in your own journey, then start taking total ownership of where you are right now. Thanks for joining us on the Champion Mindset Collective. For you, audience who are listening, watching this episode, please subscribe. Amazing how many people listen and watch, but they don't actually subscribe. So the more you subscribe, the further this episode goes. And we can get better guests on the podcast as well. And
doesn't get better than me, mate.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I've been trying to get Luke on there as well, but yeah.
He's a busy man. You'll be hard to crack down. Yeah, he'll be real hard to get.
So check out the links in the show notes, but also there's going to be a dedicated page for you, Mikey, on the Champion Mindset Collective, and it will have all your information. It will have your bio. It will have an article, a guide, practical guide that people can download and start to apply in their life right now. It will have all the videos, and it's got a placeholder for your future book to go there as well.
Nice, mate. I'll let you know when I print it.
Yeah.
Maybe not in this lifetime.
And lastly, I just want to say you are loved, you're worthy, champion your life, champion your greatness, and have an amazing day.
Thank you very much.